The alarm rang through the ship like a screaming child. Park dropped his coffee and ran to the control room. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. Other crew members were already there, staring at the screens with wide eyes. "What is it?" asked. He was breathing hard from running. Captain Ojina pointed at the main screen. A red dot was blinking on the map. "Distress signal, coming from the moon of 7, about 2 hours away from us." Looked at the signal. It was strange. The pattern was not like any human ship. The code was something he had never seen before. "That is not one of ours," said Corporal. She was standing next to him, her dark hair tied back in a tight bun. "The signal pattern is completely different." "Alien?" asked. Nobody answered. They all knew the answer. Humanity had been traveling through space for almost 100 years now. They had found signs of other life, old ruins, strange signals, but they had never met a living alien, not face to face. "We are the closest ship," Captain O said. Her voice was calm but serious. "We have to respond. That is the law of space." Nodded. He understood. When someone sent a distress signal, you helped them. It did not matter who they were. That was the rule that kept everyone alive in the cold darkness between stars. 2 hours later, the research vessel Horizon's Edge entered orbit around 7. The moon was ugly. Gray rocks and dust covered everything. No air, no water, no life, just an endless desert of stone under a black sky. And in the middle of that desert, there was a crash. Saw it through the window of the landing shuttle. The ship was like nothing he had ever seen. It was shaped like a teardrop, made of some material that looked like black glass mixed with silver metal. Parts of it were broken. Fire had burned marks into its surface. Whatever had happened to this ship, it had been bad. "I am reading one life sign," said. She was checking her scanner. "Very weak, inside the main part of the ship." Checked his medical kit one more time. He was the ship's field medic. If someone was hurt, it was his job to help them. He had trained for this for years, but he had never trained to help an alien. The shuttle landed with a soft bump, put on his helmet and stepped outside. The gravity on this moon was light. He felt like he could jump over a house, but he walked carefully. The ground was covered with sharp rocks and pieces of the broken ship. The entrance to the alien vessel was a hole in the side. Something had torn through the metal like paper, climbed inside with Wright behind him. The inside of the ship was dark. Their helmet lights cut through the blackness. Strange shapes surrounded them, chairs that were too tall, screens with symbols that made no sense. Everything was designed for someone who was not human. "This way," whispered. Her scanner was beeping faster. They walked through a narrow hallway. The walls were covered with patterns that glowed faintly blue. Even broken and dying, the ship was beautiful, felt like he was walking through a dream. Then they found her. She was lying on the floor of what looked like a control room. At first, could not understand what he was seeing. His brain refused to accept it. Then, slowly, the image made sense. She was tall, much taller than any human. Her skin was like polished black stone, smooth and shining even in the weak light. Patterns covered her body, lines and curves that glowed with a soft violet color. She wore something like a dress made of flowing silver material. Her face was almost human, but not quite. Her features were sharper, more perfect. And she had 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on her face. 2 of those eyes were closed. The third one in the middle of her forehead was half open. It looked at with a color like a sunset burning out. "Human," she said. Her voice was strange. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. It vibrated in his chest like music. "You should leave me. My kind and yours are not allies." Knelt beside her. Up close he could see the damage. A deep cut ran along her side, and something that looked like violet light was leaking out of it. Blood, alien blood. She was bleeding badly. "Can you understand me?" he asked. "Yes," her voice was weaker now. "I learned your language many years ago when we first found your people." "Good, then understand this. I am a medic. I help people who are hurt. I am going to help you now." Her 3 eyes all opened. They stared at him with an expression he could not read. "You do not know what I am. You do not know what helping me will mean. You are hurt. That is all I need to know." Behind him was talking into her radio. "Captain, we found a survivor, one alien female. She is badly wounded. We need to bring her back to the ship." The radio crackled. Captain O's voice came through, tense and uncertain. "Is it safe?" Looked at the alien. She was watching him. Her violet blood was pooling on the floor around her. She was dying. He could see it in the way her light was growing dimmer. "She needs help," said into his radio. "That is all that matters right now." There was a long pause. Then the captain spoke again. "Bring her in, but be careful. We do not know what we are dealing with." Turned back to the alien. He reached out slowly, showing her his hands. "I am going to lift you now. It might hurt, but I will be as gentle as I can." She stared at him for a long moment, then something changed in her eyes. The coldness faded just a little. "You are strange," she said quietly. "Your kind attacks what it does not understand. That is what we believed." "Some of us do," admitted, "but not all of us." He slid his arms under her body and lifted. She was lighter than he expected. The low gravity helped, but she was also thin, her body built like a dancer. She made a small sound of pain but did not fight him. Walked ahead, lighting the way. Carried the alien through the broken ship, out into the gray dust of the moon. Above them, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there was her home, her people, a whole civilization that humans knew nothing about. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now, there was only a wounded being in his arms and a ship waiting to help her. The shuttle door opened. Warm light spilled out into the darkness. Stepped inside, still holding the alien carefully. Her eyes were closed now. Her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. "Hold on," he told her. "We are going to save you." She did not answer, but her hand moved slightly, her long fingers brushing against his arm. It might have been an accident, or it might have been something else. Did not know. He only knew that he had made a choice, and now he had to see it through. The shuttle lifted off, carrying its strange cargo back to the horizon's edge. And in the cold silence of space, a story began that would change two civilizations forever. The medical bay of the horizon's edge was not built for aliens. It was a small room with white walls, bright lights, and equipment designed for human bodies. Now, an alien queen lay on the examination table, and nobody knew what to do. Doctor stood beside the table, looking at her scanner with confused eyes. "I cannot make sense of this," she said. "Her biology is completely different from ours. I do not know what is normal for her and what is dangerous." Stood on the other side of the table, looking down at the alien. She was unconscious now. Her three eyes were closed, and her breathing was slow and shallow. The patterns on her skin still glowed, but the light was weak, like a candle about to go out. "The wound on her side," said. "That is where the bleeding is coming from. We need to clean it and close it." "With what?" Doctor asked. "I do not know if our medicine will help her or kill her. Her blood is not even liquid. It is some kind of energy." Looked at the wound. It was a deep cut running from her ribs down to her hip. The violet light leaked out of it slowly, mixing with something darker. An infection. Even without understanding her biology, could recognize the signs. The wound was getting worse. "We have to try," he said. "If we do nothing, she will die." Captain O stood in the doorway, watching them with worried eyes. Other crew members gathered behind her, trying to see the alien. Nobody had ever seen anything like her before. She was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. "The signal from her ship," the captain said. "We traced it. It was not a normal distress call. It was a royal beacon." "Royal?" asked. She was standing near the door, keeping watch. "Yes, according to the records we could translate, that beacon is only used by the ruling class of her species." The captain paused. "We might be looking at someone very important." Did not care about that. Important or not, she was dying. He turned to Doctor. "Give me the basic medical kit. Antiseptic, bandages, surgical tools. I will work with what we have." "You cannot, just—" "I can try." His voice was firm. "I have treated wounds in bad conditions before, during the war on Mars, after the mining accident on Europa. Sometimes you do not have the right tools. You work with what you have." Doctor hesitated, then she nodded and handed him the kit. "I will monitor her vital signs, or what I think are her vital signs. If something goes wrong, then we will deal with it." Opened the kit and looked at the tools inside. Simple things: cleaning solution, bandages, a small knife for cutting away dead tissue, needle and thread for closing wounds. These tools had saved human lives for hundreds of years. Maybe they could save an alien life too. He started with the cleaning solution. First, he tested it on a small patch of her skin away from the wound. He waited. Nothing bad happened. Her skin did not burn or change color. Good. Slowly, carefully, he began to clean the wound. The violet blood, or whatever it was, started to glow brighter as he worked, like it was reacting to his touch. The dark infection around the edges began to fade. That was a good sign. The alien made a small sound. Her eyes fluttered but did not open. Kept working. "There is something in the wound," he said. "Metal fragments, from her ship, probably. I need to remove them." He picked up the small surgical tool and leaned closer. The fragments were deep inside the wound, buried in her strange flesh. He would have to reach in and pull them out one by one. He started with the first fragment. It came out easily, covered in glowing violet. The alien flinched but stayed unconscious. He dropped the metal piece into a tray and reached for the next one. The second fragment was deeper. He had to push his fingers into the wound to reach it. The alien's body was warm, warmer than a human's. The energy in her blood tingled against his skin. He found the fragment and pulled it out. The alien made a sound like a gasp. Her eyes opened suddenly, all three of them burning with light. "Wait," he said quickly. "I am helping you. There are more pieces inside." But she was not listening. She was looking at him with an expression of shock and something else, something he did not understand. "Where did you touch me?" she asked. Her voice was different now, colder, more commanding. Held up his hands, still covered in her violet blood. "Your wound, on your side. There are metal fragments." "Not there." Her three eyes were fixed on him with frightening intensity. "Your hands, where did they go?" Thought back, he had been reaching for the deeper fragments. His hands had moved up, following the path of the wound. It ran from her side up toward her back, ending near her spine. "Near your back," he said slowly. "Close to your spine. I was trying to reach." She moved faster than he could see. Her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was incredibly strong. It hurt, but did not pull away. "Only my consort may touch me there," she said. Her voice was ice and fire mixed together. The patterns on her skin flared bright, filling the room with violet light. Everyone else in the room stepped back. Doctor dropped her scanner. Captain O reached for her weapon, but stayed still, looking into those three strange eyes. "I do not know what a consort is in your culture," he said calmly. "And I do not know your customs, but I know that you have infection spreading through your body. I know that there are still metal pieces inside you that will kill you if I do not remove them, so you can be angry at me later. You can punish me for breaking your rules, but right now I am going to finish saving your life. Is that acceptable?" Silence filled the room. The alien stared at him. Her grip on his wrist did not loosen. Her eyes searched his face like she was looking for something. Then, slowly, the light in the room began to fade. Her patterns dimmed back to their normal glow. Her hand released his wrist. "You are not afraid," she said. "It was not a question." "I am terrified," admitted. "But fear does not change what needs to be done." Something shifted in her expression. The coldness melted away, replaced by something that looked almost like curiosity. "Among my people, the nerve cluster along the spine is sacred. It is our most vulnerable place. We only allow those we trust completely to touch it. To do otherwise is a great violation. I understand, and I am sorry. But the wound extends to that area. If I do not clean all of it, the infection will spread." She was quiet for a long moment, then she lay back down on the table. "Proceed," she said softly. "I will allow it." Looked at Doctor, who nodded nervously. Then he picked up his tools and went back to work. The next hour was the most careful work of his life. Every time he touched near her spine, he felt her body tense. But she did not stop him. She lay still, breathing slowly, letting him do what needed to be done. He removed 7 more metal fragments. He cleaned the entire wound, from her side all the way up to the sacred area near her spine. He stitched the wound closed with thread that seemed too simple for an alien body but worked anyway. When he finally finished, he stepped back, exhausted. His hands were shaking. The alien's eyes were closed again, but she was breathing more steadily now. The light in her patterns was stronger. "It is done," he said. "You should rest now." Her middle eye opened, just a little. She looked at him with an expression he could not name. "What is your name, human?" Pork! Park, she said it slowly, like she was tasting the words. I am the supreme matriarch of the Dominion. Felt his stomach drop. Supreme matriarch, a queen. He had just touched the sacred body of an alien queen. I will remember what you did here, she continued. Both the violation and the kindness, they are balanced for now. Then her eyes closed and she fell into a deep sleep. Stood there looking at her, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Behind him, Captain O let out a long breath. Well, she said quietly, I think we just made first contact, and it went about as well as anyone could expect. Did not answer. He just kept looking at the sleeping queen, feeling the strange tingle where her blood had touched his skin. Something had changed. He did not know what yet, but he knew that nothing would ever be the same. 3 days passed on the horizon's edge. Healed faster than anyone expected. Her wound closed completely by the 2nd day, leaving only a thin silver line on her dark skin. By the 3rd day, she was walking around the ship, studying everything with her 3 curious eyes. The crew did not know how to act around her. Some were afraid. They had heard stories about aliens, none of them good. Others were fascinated, following her with their eyes wherever she went. A few, like Doctor, tried to ask her scientific questions. She answered some of them. Others she refused to answer, saying the information was not meant for young species. Tried to stay away from her. After what happened in the medical bay, he felt uncomfortable. He had touched something sacred without permission. Even though she said it was balanced, he was not sure what that meant. But did not let him stay away. On the 3rd day, she found him in the small garden room at the back of the ship. It was a tiny space filled with plants from Earth, meant to help the crew feel less lonely in deep space. Liked to sit there when he needed to think. This is pleasant, said, entering the room. She had to bend down to fit through the door. Your species grows living things inside your ships. We do not do this. Stood up quickly. Your Highness, I did not know you were. Sit. It was not a request. I wish to speak with you. He sat back down. She moved through the small garden, touching the leaves of plants gently. Her long fingers were careful, almost tender. On my world, she said, we believe that the universe is divided into 2 types of beings. Those who take and those who give. Most species we have met are takers. They see something they want and they reach out to grab it. They do not ask. They do not care about harm. She turned to look at him. Her 3 eyes glowed softly in the green light of the garden. When your people found my ship, you could have taken many things. Our technology is far beyond yours. The materials in my vessel are worth more than your entire planet's economy. You could have left me to die and taken everything. We would never do that, said. I know, I did not understand it at first, but I watched you, all of you. When you found me dying, your first thought was to help, not to gain, not to exploit. She moved closer, sitting on a bench across from him. You especially. You knew nothing about me. You did not know if I was dangerous. You did not know if saving me would bring war to your people, but you helped anyway. Did not know what to say. He just shrugged. That is what we do. Yes, so you said, but why? It was a simple question, but found it hard to answer. Why did humans help strangers? He had never really thought about it before. It was just something they did, something that felt right. I do not know, he admitted. Maybe because we know what it feels like to be alone and afraid. Maybe because we hope someone would do the same for us. Or maybe, he paused, trying to find the right words. Maybe we just believe that life is precious, all life, even life that is different from ours. I was quiet for a long moment. Her patterns shifted slowly, colors moving across her skin like thoughts becoming visible. I have ruled the Dominion for 300 of your years, she said finally. I have met hundreds of species, made treaties with some, destroyed others. I thought I understood the universe. I thought I knew all the shapes that intelligence could take. She leaned forward, her eyes fixed on his face. I was wrong. What do you mean? Your species is young. You have only been traveling between stars for a short time. You are weak compared to us. Your technology is simple. Your bodies are fragile. By all measures, you should be nothing. Prey for the stronger races, slaves for the older empires. She reached out and took his hand. Her touch was warm, almost hot. The patterns on her fingers glowed where they touched his skin. But you have something we do not, she continued. Something I have not seen in any other species. You have the ability to care about those who are not your own, to risk yourselves for strangers, to give without expecting anything back." Her grip tightened slightly. "Do you understand how rare that is? How valuable?" Looked at their joined hands. Her skin was black as night, his pale in comparison. Two completely different beings from two completely different worlds. But in that moment, holding hands in a small garden floating through space, they did not feel so different. "I want to tell you something," I said, "about why I was attacked." "You do not have to." "I want to." She released his hand and sat back. "The Dominion is powerful, but it is not united. There are factions who disagree with how I rule. They believe we should expand more aggressively, take more territory, enslave more species." Her voice grew cold. "They believe that kindness is weakness. And they tried to kill you." "Yes, they hired assassins to destroy my ship while I was traveling alone. They wanted it to look like an accident, a tragic loss. Then they would take power and change everything I have built." "What will happen now that you are alive?" A's eyes glittered dangerously. "Now they will learn that killing a matriarch is not so easy, and they will learn something else too, something that will change our entire civilization." "What?" "They will learn about you, about humans." She stood up, towering over him. Even sitting down, had to crane his neck to look at her face. "When I return to my people, I will tell them what happened here. How a young species with no reason to help risked everything to save a stranger. How a simple medic touched the sacred cluster of a queen and asked for nothing in return. I was just doing my job," said. "No," her voice was firm. "You were doing something much more important. You were being human, and that park is something the galaxy needs to see." She moved toward the door, then stopped and looked back at him. "I have been thinking about the balance," she said, "between your violation and your kindness." Felt his heart beat faster. He had been worrying about this. In her culture, touching the sacred cluster without permission was a serious crime. He did not know what the punishment might be. "Among my people," she continued, "there are only two outcomes when someone touches the matriarch's sacred place without being her consort. The first is death. The second is—" She paused, and something like amusement flickered across her face. "Well, the second is more complicated." "What is the second?" "In time you will know. For now, just understand that you have created a bond between us. Whether you wanted to or not, whether you knew it or not, we are connected now, Park. Our fates are tied together." She left the garden, ducking through the small door and disappearing down the hallway. Sat alone among the plants, trying to understand what had just happened. A bond, a connection. His fate tied to an alien queen who ruled 40 star systems. He was just a medic from. He had joined the space program because he wanted to help people. He had never wanted power or importance. He just wanted to do good work and maybe see some interesting things along the way. Now he was tangled up in something much bigger than himself. Alien politics, ancient customs, a queen who looked at him like he was the most interesting thing she had seen in 300 years. He leaned back and stared at the ceiling. The plants around him swayed gently in the recycled air. Somewhere in the distance, the ship's engines hummed their endless song. "What have you gotten yourself into?" he whispered to himself. The plants did not answer. The universe kept spinning, and Park sat in his small garden waiting to see what would happen next. He did not have to wait long. The next morning, a message arrived from Earth. News of the alien had spread. The government wanted to talk to her. They wanted to understand who she was and what her presence meant. The age of humanity, meeting the stars alone, was over. Now they had to learn to share the universe with others. And somehow, a medic from was right in the middle of it all. The news spread across Earth like fire in dry grass. An alien queen, saved by humans, ruler of 40 star systems. The story was everywhere. Every screen, every broadcast, every conversation. Watched it happen from the observation deck of the horizon's edge. They were heading back to Earth now, traveling at maximum speed. I had sent messages to her people, telling them she was alive and safe. The response had been immediate. Ships were already on their way to meet them. "You are famous now," said, joining him at the window. "The medic who saved an alien queen. They are calling you a hero." Shook his head. "I just did my job." "You keep saying that, but nobody believes you." She smiled slightly. My mother sent me a message. She wants to know if you are single. She says any man who can save a queen must be a good catch. I am not looking for. I know, I told her you were too busy saving the galaxy to date. Smile faded. But seriously, are you okay? This is a lot to handle. He thought about the question. Was he okay? He did not know any more. Everything had changed so fast. A week ago, he was just a medic on a research ship, collecting samples and treating minor injuries. Now he was part of the biggest event in human history. I am scared, he admitted. I do not know what happens next. I do not know what it meant when she talked about a bond between us. I do not know what her people will do when they arrive. None of us know, said, but we will figure it out. That is what humans do. We face the unknown and we figure it out. A week later, they arrived at Earth. The planet hung in space like a blue marble, beautiful and fragile. Had seen it many times before, but today it looked different. Today it looked like something worth protecting. Ships were already waiting in orbit. They were massive, each one bigger than any human vessel. Their surfaces were black and silver, covered with the same glowing patterns as A's skin. They looked like predators waiting to strike, but they did not attack. Instead, they sent small transport ships to meet the horizon's edge. Aliens came aboard, tall beings with dark skin and 3 eyes, all bowing low when they saw their queen. I had changed her clothes. She now wore a flowing gown of deep purple that moved like liquid around her body. A crown of silver metal rested on her head with points that reached up like flames. She looked like what she was, a ruler of worlds. Park, she said, her voice carrying across the crowded docking bay. Come forward. He walked through the crowd of aliens and humans, feeling every eye on him. When he reached her, he was not sure what to do. Bow, kneel, shake hands. She solved the problem by reaching out and taking his hand, lifting it up so everyone could see. This is the human who saved my life, she announced. This is the one who touched my sacred place and asked for nothing in return. According to our laws, his fate and mine are now connected. He is under my protection. Any harm done to him is harm done to me. The aliens made sounds of surprise. They looked at with new eyes, something between respect and confusion. Felt dizzy. Your Highness, I do not understand. You will, she said quietly, so only he could hear. In time. For now, just stay close to me. Things are about to become very complicated. She was right. Over the next month, everything became complicated. Diplomats arrived from Earth, led by Ambassador Shin, a sharp woman with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. They met with her and her advisors in long sessions that lasted hours. Was pulled into all of it. He did not know why at first. He was a medic, not a diplomat, but her insisted that he be present at every meeting. You are important, she told him when he asked. More important than you understand. The meetings revealed many things. The Dominion was not the only power in the galaxy. There were others, some friendly, some dangerous. Humanity had been lucky to stay hidden for so long, but now that luck was ending. Other species were starting to notice Earth. You need allies, said during one meeting. Without protection, the younger races will see you as easy prey. Slavers, pirates, empires looking to expand, they will all come for you. Ambassador Shin frowned. And you are offering to be our ally. I am offering more than that. Glanced at, then back at the ambassador. I am offering a formal treaty. The Dominion will protect Earth and its people. In exchange, we ask for nothing but friendship. The room went silent. This was not how alien negotiations were supposed to go. In all the stories, in all the simulations, aliens always wanted something. Resources, technology, territory. They did not offer protection for free. Why? Ambassador Shin asked. Why would you do this? Stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. 300 years ago, when I first became matriarch, I believed that power was the only thing that mattered. I conquered, I expanded, I crushed anyone who stood in my way. She turned to face the room. But power alone does not build civilizations, it only destroys them. She walked back to the table and placed her hand on shoulder. This human taught me something I had forgotten. When he saved me, he did not ask what he would gain. He did not calculate the political benefits. He saw someone in pain and he helped. That's simple. Her patterns glowed brightly. That is the kind of strength the galaxy needs, not the strength of weapons and armies, the strength of compassion. Ambassador Shin looked at. Is this true? You saved her without thinking about what you would get. I did not save her, said quietly. I just helped. That is all any of us can do, help when we can. The ambassador was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Perhaps, she said, we can learn from each other. The treaty was signed 2 weeks later. The Dominion and the United Earth Coalition became allies, the first formal agreement between humanity and an alien civilization. It was historic. It was world-changing. But the real change was more personal. After the signing ceremony, I found him alone on a balcony overlooking the city. Earth's light spread out below like a river of stars. You are troubled, she said, joining him at the railing. I do not understand my place in all this, he admitted. You keep me close, you say our fates are connected, but I am nobody, just a medic who happened to be in the right place. There is no such thing as just a medic, I said, and there is no such thing as happen to be. The universe does not work that way. She turned to face him fully. In the soft light of the city, she looked almost human, almost. Among my people, when someone touches the sacred cluster, it creates a bond that cannot be broken. It is not a choice. It is not a contract. It is something deeper. She reached out and touched his chest, right over his heart. I feel you here, always, even when you are far away. Felt his breath catch. What does that mean? It means many things. In ancient times, it would mean you are my consort, my partner, my equal. She smiled slightly. But we are not in ancient times, and you are not, so we must find our own way. What way is that? She leaned closer, her 3 eyes searching his face. I do not know yet, but I want to find out if you are willing. Looked at her, this alien queen, this ruler of 40 star systems, this being who was so different from him, and yet somehow not different at all. I am willing, he said. A's patterns glowed warm and bright. Good, she said. Then let us begin. 6 months had passed since the treaty was signed. The galaxy had changed in ways that nobody expected. Human ships now traveled with escorts, protected from pirates and slavers. Technology was shared with Earth, improving medicine, energy, and transportation. In return, humans taught the something they had lost long ago, how to be kind without expecting anything back. Stood on the observation deck of the flagship, looking down at Earth. The planet seemed smaller from up here, but no less beautiful. It was still his home, even though he spent most of his time in space now. His life had changed completely. He was no longer just a medic. They called him the healer who knew no fear. Humans called him the first friend. Politicians wanted his opinion on everything. Scientists wanted to study him. Reporters wanted to interview him. But he was still the same person inside. Still, the quiet man from who just wanted to help people. The door behind him opened. He knew who it was without turning around. He always knew when she was near. The bond between them made sure of that. You are thinking again, I said, walking to stand beside him. I can feel it. Your thoughts are like ripples in water. I was thinking about everything that has happened, said. 6 months ago, I was nobody. Now I am standing on an alien ship, looking at my planet from space, talking to a queen who rules 40 star systems. Does it bother you? He thought about the question carefully. No, he said finally, it does not bother me, it just surprises me. Every day I wake up and think, this cannot be real, but it is. I made a sound that might have been a laugh. I understand that feeling. I have lived for 300 years, and you humans still surprise me every day. She was wearing a simple dress today, dark blue that shifted to purple when she moved. Her crown was gone, left behind in her quarters. When they were alone, she did not need to be a queen. She could just be herself. My council thinks I have lost my mind, she said. They do not understand why I spend so much time with humans, why I tied our civilization to yours, why I chose you. Why did you? Asked. It was a question he had been afraid to ask for months. I turned to face him. Her 3 eyes glowed softly in the dim light of the observation deck. Because you reminded me of something important, she said. Something I had forgotten in all my years of ruling. What? That power is not the same as strength. That fear is not the same as respect. That the most important things in the universe cannot be taken. They can only be given. She reached out and took his hand. When you touched my sacred place, you could have used that bond to manipulate me. You could have demanded power, wealth, influence. Any other being in the galaxy would have done so. That never occurred to me, said honestly. I know, that is why I chose you. She squeezed his hand gently. You did not see a queen, you did not see an opportunity, you just saw someone who was hurt and needed help, that kind of purity. It is very rare, Park, very precious. They stood together in silence, looking out at the stars. The universe stretched before them, infinite and mysterious. So many planets, so many species, so many stories yet to be told. What happens now? Asked. Now we build something new. They have been alone for too long. We have forgotten how to trust, how to hope, how to love without conditions. A's patterns shifted, flowing across her skin like music made visible. Your people can teach us, and perhaps we can teach you something too. What can you teach us? That you are not alone, that the universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. That your kindness, your compassion, your foolish, beautiful bravery, these are not weaknesses. They are the most powerful forces in existence. Felt something warm spread through his chest. The bond between them pulsed gently, connecting them in ways that words could not describe. I am scared sometimes, he admitted. Of this bond, of what it means, of what might happen if I fail. A moved closer. She was so much taller than him that she had to bend down to meet his eyes, but she did not seem to mind. Fear is natural, she said. Even I feel fear sometimes, but fear does not stop us from doing what is right. It only makes the doing more meaningful. She lifted her free hand and touched his face gently. Her fingers were warm against his skin. You will not fail, Park. Do you know how I know this? How? Because you have already succeeded. Every time you chose kindness over fear, every time you helped when you could have turned away, every time you saw a stranger in pain and thought, I must do something. Her eyes glowed brighter. Those choices made you who you are, and who you are is exactly what the galaxy needs. Did not know what to say. He was just a medic, just a simple man from a small city on a small planet. How could he be what the galaxy needed? But looking into A's eyes, he started to believe. Maybe it was not about being special. Maybe it was just about being good, being kind, being willing to help when help was needed. Maybe that was enough. I want to show you something, A said. She led him to a different window, one that faced away from Earth. Look. He looked. At first he only saw stars. Then, slowly, shapes became visible. Ships, hundreds of them, thousands. They filled the space around the flagship like a river of lights. What is this? He whispered. This is the beginning, A said. Representatives from every species in the Dominion. They came to see the humans, to understand why their queen would ally herself with such a young, weak race. And what did they decide? A smiled. It was a real smile, warm and bright, nothing like the cold mask she wore in public. They decided that perhaps strength is not about weapons or armies or power. Perhaps it is about something else entirely, something that humans have in abundance. She turned to face him fully. They decided to follow your example, stared at the fleet of ships. So many species, so many civilizations, all of them looking to Earth, looking to humanity, looking for something they had lost. We are not perfect, he said quietly. Humans, I mean, we fight each other, we hurt each other, we make mistakes. I know, but you also forgive each other, you help each other, you keep trying to be better even when you fail. I took both his hands in hers. That is what makes you special, not perfection, persistence, not strength, heart. She bent down and pressed her forehead against his. It was a gesture of deep intimacy among her people. She had told him once, a sharing of thoughts and feelings. I am glad I crashed on that moon, she said softly. I am glad you found me. I am glad you saved me. I am glad too, said. They stood there together as the stars wheeled slowly past the window. Below them, Earth turned on, blue and green and alive. Above them, the fleet of alien ships waited, ready to begin a new chapter in galactic history. And in the middle of it all, a medic from held hands with an alien queen, proving that the greatest power in the universe was not weapons or technology or empires. It was simply the willingness to help. That was the lesson humans brought to the stars. That was the gift they gave to a galaxy that had forgotten how to be kind. And that was the story that would be told for thousands of years to come. The story of how one act of compassion changed everything. The story of Park Enda. The story of how humanity found its place among the stars, not through war or conquest, but through the simple, powerful choice to care. And somewhere, in a small garden on a research ship that had started it all, the plants swayed gently in the recycled air, growing toward a light that never stopped shining.